Good morning, everyone. It looks like it's Friday and it's Free Tip Friday time with Kate Richburg from beadshop.com. How is everyone today on this Friday? I'm going to pull up all of my devices here and make sure that I can see you and you can see me, and then we'll get started. I'm excited to share some thoughts on our bead embroidery from this past Facebook Live, this past Wednesday. I've been working on a piece here to share with you, and I see that I'm on. I see that you're on. Yeah, we can close that a little bit. Is it bright on the screen? Oh, I can't see it. Thanks, Brandwin. Brandwin's closing the things. It didn't look super bright here, but it does on the broadcast. So Brandwin is fixing that up for me. Thank you for that. All right, I think we're good. Let's see what happens. Thanks, Brand. All right, hello everybody. It looks like everybody's here. Great. I should put my phone over here so I'm looking at you guys and not off in the distance. Let's see. Looks like we've got, oh, everyone's here. Everyone's here. It's great. Everyone who's anyone. It's excellent. Well, it's great to have you. Our beadshop.com, Gita is on today doing some moderating. So you'll see Gita as Bead Shop, which is great. And it's great to see everyone. Yes, happy Easter weekend for those of you who celebrate Easter. It's great. It's going to be I think a pretty nice Easter weekend here for us. I think it's starting to get nice and warm here in California. So it's going to be a good weekend, I think. I need to do a little bit of shopping for Easter dinner, but, you know, I'll get that done eventually, right? Who has time to shop when all you want to do is bead, right? Well, it's great to see everyone. It looks like my mom and dad are here, which is awesome. So hello to them. So great. I am going to jump in and talk a little bit about the project. So those of you, I think, probably many of you, saw our Wednesday broadcast with Emily and I doing bead embroidery, and I had so much fun. I hope you guys did as well. It was really, really a cool project. So I kind of dusted off my bead embroidery skills from way back in the day because peyote stitch is my favorite seed bead stitch, and before Emily it was really the only seed bead stitch I knew how to do. So I have so again I dusted off a little bit of my skills and I put them to work on the piece that I started with Emily on Wednesday. So I'm going to turn this camera around so you guys can kind of see what I've got going on, and we'll get started. So you're gonna see some camera movement here. And let me just move things around. Sorry, I want to make sure everything is tightened so the camera doesn't fall here. I'm my own camera person on Fridays, so you have to kind of bear with me here as I move everything around. There we go, and now you can see everything in place. There we go. Wasn't too much of a shaky movement here. Alrighty. Oh, and Dria's on. Hi, Dria. It's great to see everybody here today. I'm also gonna just fix this here on the table real quick, just to make sure that I'm nice and stable here. There we go. Alrighty. So you can see I've got some beads here in front of me. And I'm going to lift the camera a little bit more so you guys can see. You can see that I've got the iPad right there. I'm going to scoot it back a little bit so I can see myself. And there we go. Alrighty. I've got my little notes over here. Let me move those out of the shot. You guys can see all the stuff behind the scenes, which is kind of exciting and fun. At least exciting and fun for me. All right, let me move this over. Let me get everything in order here, and we'll get going. All right. Let's take a look at what we've got. Hooray. Okay. Oh, someone had, Susan, you're asking me about my glasses. I got these a while back from Zenny, I think, Zenny Optical. way back in the day. I like Zenny. It's really, they're easy to order from. Though I need to go back in and get some fresh ones because, as you guys know, if you're regular watchers, I'm getting less and less able to see. So, we'll remedy that. So, okay, let's take a look at what I've got going on here, you guys. Let me scoot this up just a little bit, and you'll be able to see the piece that I've got here. So, this is the piece that I've been working on. And you can see that I have really embroidered a lot around this this piece, and I think it's kind of a fun hang on a second, you guys. I'm trying to make sure I've got all of you. Bear with me here 1 second. My little I Spy thing came, there we go. As long as I can see all your comments. Sorry, I briefly lost your comments, but now I'm back on board. Okay, so here is my embroidered piece that I made earlier. And for those of you who didn't watch us on Wednesday, you can go to our website, beadshop.com, and check out the Bead Embroidery project. And you can see there was 2 that Emily designed. She designed one with the sodalite pie and one with a fool's gold pie. And they were really fun to do, and she shared a lot of great basics with you. So what I did here is I used, and you guys are exactly right, you can spy. I'm going to get in even closer. Let me tell you a little bit about what I did with this piece so far before we actually go and do some finishing. I used kind of a mix-up of all of the beads that Emily used in both of the products, or both of the projects. So I used this opal silver-lined alabaster, and I used it, you can see if I turn it on its side, I used it to kind of do my first row and then down towards my ruffle. And then up here, as I came up and captured the pie, I used this hematite one. It's the 11-451 in 11/0. And I thought that hematite really picked up the sodalite pie really, really nicely. And then I added, it's this light smoky pewter. I thought it was kind of a cool backdrop for, of course, these brass shadows. So I used them here, you can see here, and I used them right on the edge of the ruffle as well. So I've got 3 different seed beads, and then I use little shadows in just the regular brass. And the way I did this piece was I started just like Emily did, and I did my base row, and then I went down a row and up a row. Then I came in and I added the ruffle, and I'm going to try and get kind of tight in here for you. Can you see how, remember when Emily was talking about having the outer portion of this ruffle? This little shadow was just a touch big, so you can see how it pulled apart these size 11s, and it kind of created this cool ruffle right around the piece. Then I went up towards the center and I started doing my rows. Now, the way I'm going to finish this, I'm going to put an I Ching coin here in the center. My I Ching coin, since my beadwork comes so far over the sodalite pie, I probably should have omitted 2 rows of, or maybe 1 row of this hematite. The I Ching is going to cover a little more of the sodalite than I wanted it to, but you know what? I'm going with the flow. It's my first one, so I'm not super worried about it. But I did really want to capture and show kind of the little shadow up here on the front of the sodalite disc. So you can see I repeated that motif that's in my ruffle. I repeated it around here, around the center. And it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to get in really close because decreasing, Emily made a cool little video about decreasing for you guys that we put on our YouTube channel. But you can see, and it's kind of easy to see when I bring this up close to you. The way that I did my decrease was I stopped doing regular peyote stitch at about the 2nd row, of the hematite beads. Then I came in, and can you see this bead here, these little rows of 3? I peyote stitched 1 bead here, and then I skipped a section. So it was 1 bead and skip, 1 bead and skip, all the way around so it was even. So when I came around for my second pass, I just came in and added this little section of 1, 2, 3 beads, the 11-aught, the shadow, and the 11-aught. And can you see it made, if I cover this up with my thumbnail, what it made, it's kind of hard to see, but what it made was a big opening that was perfect for these 3 little beads. And then I went all the way around, and then the last thing I did for this row to decrease it and make it super stable was I added this single pewter, smoky pewter, all the way through, and just went around once and then went around twice, and so everything was nice and tight. So my decrease started way back here and then continued on decreasing each row until it was finally tight all the way around. So had I started that decrease actually a little sooner, I would have had less covering over the pie, but I'm really okay with it. Okay, so that's what we did there. So let me put this down, and I'll show you what else I've been making. I'm going to go ahead and grab my phone here so I can see all of your comments here real quick. There we go. I was losing your comments, but I think I've got you. I have all of you. It's great to see all of you from all over. It's so great. And Gatain, I guess. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering your lovely name. It was a lot of work, but not that much work, honestly. This disc was pretty small. I'm going to move the camera a little bit too to straighten it out. There we go. The disc wasn't that big, so I was okay. It wasn't too, it didn't take me that long to do. I actually was working on it last evening as I was watching TV. Why can't I get this camera straight? There we go. Sorry about the camera issues today. I can't quite get everything straightened up, but there we go. But you guys will bear with me. All right, here we go. So let me show you what I did here with the embellishing. So I was thinking about a lot of different ways I wanted to close this up. I thought maybe I'd use a circle of bronze and put it in the center and hang things from it. I thought about using our capped off bead cap and making a tassel and somehow hanging it from there. I even used like the Pony Express like Emily did, and I thought about maybe putting it in the middle like she did and maybe having the tassel coming out from there, but I thought there was like too much space in there, so I was kind of playing around with it. And what I came up with was our really lovely I Ching coins. And these are vintage. These are old. And I thought how wonderful it looked right there in the center of that sodalite. Now, like I said earlier, it does cover a lot of my stone, but I think that there's enough peeking out there that I'll be happy with it. So that's just what I'm going to go with. When I make my second one, and I will make a second one, I will have this edge go out a little bit further, but you know, it's all a learning curve, so I'm not going to sweat it too much. So I'm going to use this I Ching. And then I thought, well, I want to put something in the middle. So I thought, well, again, I went to our friends, the Circle of Bronze, and I said, well, maybe I could put it here, or maybe I could put it here. And, you know, I liked it okay. But I thought, well, I love fringe. You know how I love fringe. So I started to string some fringe. And I used some of our beads that I don't think get a lot of play. These are our big, they kind of look like big Russian blues. They're actually what we call blue currency. It is a African trade bead. Let me get it. Let me see if I can get it really nice up and close to the camera so you guys can see it. They're a glass bead, This is what it looks like unstrung. They're vintage. They're probably about 100 years old, these beads. And they're faceted. Whoops. And they're slippery. Come back here. And I thought they really made a great statement. They pulled in that blue from the Sodalite pie, which I liked. And I liked they were old. And you can see I'm kind of, with this vintage I Ching coin, I'm kind of going for a vintage vibe here. Then I started stringing the tassels. Now I strung these on a doubled strand of my KO thread. So I started by string, string, string. I strung on, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 of the whatever these are, the alabaster, the opal silver lined alabaster that I used. And then I found our really beautiful matte Persian turquoise Picasso. Can you see how beautifully these 4 millimeters? I mean, don't they just go with that I Ching coin just perfectly, right? So I'm gonna use those, and then I used our 5 millimeter stone bronze rondelles, which I also thought had a really nice kind of vintagey vibe. Oh great, Emily is on. Emily, I hope you like where I'm taking this project. It was so much fun to make, so I hope you like it. And can you see, you guys, how when I strung, again, I strung on a double strand of KO, I went through all of these beads, came down, and can you see how that rondelle and this 4 millimeter, how since that blue currency bead has such a big hole, see how they butt up really nicely against that bead right here? Then I used another one of those silver lined alabaster, and I wanted the bottom of the tassel to have a little bit of kick. So I used the tribal hishi, or the tiara cast hishi, and can you see how it gives it a little bit of flare on the bottom, because I like flare. Okay, so I strung up 3 of these, and I'm gonna cascade these out of the center of this pie. But what I need to do first, before I do that, is I'm gonna glue this I Ching. I thought you guys might like to see that. I'm going to glue this I Ching right there in the center. And the glue that I'm going to use is Zap. And I had it sitting here a second ago, and it's right here. There it is. Okay. So, and you can see for the back of this, I did it just like Emily did. I haven't put the back on yet. It's just here. Okay. So I'm going to get a little plastic baggie. After I take a bracing drink of coffee. And this pie doesn't really have a top or a bottom, so I'm going to say that's it. But this I Ching coin does. This is definitely the top, this is definitely the bottom. And I'm going to open up my Zap glue. And remember, with gluing, you guys, less is more. We want to be really controlled and not get glue all over the place. So we're not gonna just squeeze it on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude a bit of the Zap right onto my plastic baggie like so. Okay. And I really like this Zap for metal to metal gluing, I guess, or bonding is what I want to say. So it really, really works well. And it's no drip. It's a gel. So see how the little pile that I put it in, it stays in that little pile, so it's not going to run all over the place. And Alicia, you had a question, how in the world do I do that? And if you're referring to the piece that I did here, all of the instructions are right on our website on beadshop.com. You can go under projects on our website and you'll see everything right there. So see how I'm really mindfully, you guys, applying the Zap to the back of the I Ching coin, and how I'm not letting it run too close to the edge, because there's a little bit of buildup of glue here, and we don't want it to scoot out from underneath that I Ching coin. Okay, so I'm not putting it too close to the edges, and I'm putting it kind of in all 4 corners. Now, oh, Alicia, okay, you're just kidding. All right, well, good to know. I can't hear kids sometimes over the in the comments, but I'm glad of that. All right, and I'm going to lay it right here, and I think it's contacted well enough. You know what? I actually need to put a little bit more, because since this pie disc slopes inward, it didn't quite contact as much as I need it to. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And you know what I'm going to do? This is what I do a lot when I'm holding, if I can find them, my little tweezers. Do I have? Emily, we didn't put the tweezers back in the toolbox, but maybe I'll hold it with my chain nose. Sometimes I hold my, whatever it is that I'm soldering, with my tweezers so I can apply my solder. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Makes it a little bit easier so I'm not fumbling around. So I'm going to add just a touch more zap, you guys, just a touch. I want to be judicious with applying this glue. You could also use E6000 for this, but zap, I've been using zap a lot with metal lately. I want to grab it right where I don't have any glue so I don't glue this to my pliers. And I've been really, really happy with the results of metal to metal gluing. Okay. So, I agree, Kim Crawford. So I am not a huge fan of gluing, and it does hurt my heart just a little to put glue on it, right? Oh, Emily, you know, I don't want to put the glue on the pie because what if it's not in the right space? But I think I've got it. I'm going to use my toothpick to really very carefully take away any excess glue right here around the side. That's the thing about gluing. You don't want to see any of the glue because it makes it look, you know, kind of not as good as you might want it to be. Let me get in there and just use that tip of that toothpick. See how I broke that toothpick in half and I just swiped it and it picked up all of that little extra glue. I'm going to do it one more time. Swipe, swipe, swipe. And there it goes. Perfect. And you can see, look at that zap. See how it's holding already, right? It's on there. Yeah, it does hurt my heart. I agree with you. It's hard for me to glue things together, but glue does have its moment. And can you see that zap? It's done. So you've got to work quickly. And I think it looks pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. So now this glue, I'm going to get it all over if I don't corral it. So that's why I use a plastic baggie. I fold it up, I fold it up, I fold it up, I fold it up, and then I'm going to throw it away. Okay? So it doesn't get all over everything. So I'm going to set that aside. So now this is ready to go. And I'm ready to cascade my tassel out the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a big eye needle to help me get this through, get my tassels through. And what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to come in and I'm going to use my awl. I'm going to give it my awl. Thank you very much. Thanks. To make a little pierce, a little hole. And can you see, maybe you can see the hole that I made. I don't know if you can, but it's right in there. Then I'm going to string my big eye needle with my first tassel leg, pull it through, and then I can see a little beam of light where I put that all pierced through. I put my big eye needle through, and then my threads go right through. Okay, there we go. And so now you can see I've got one, no you can't see because I'm not in the center, I've got one cascading right out the middle here. Okay, so I'm going to come to the back, and remember how Emily talked about that this would be glued on the back. So I'm just going to tie a little square knot, right over left, left over right. And I want the knot to be big enough not to come out. So I'm going to pass a few times to make it a nice bulky knot here. But when I glue the back on to this piece, I'm going to go ahead and add a little dab of glue right there. So let me cut away my excess threads here for the moment. And you can see tassel leg number 1 is in place. Okay. Then I'll do number 2. So I'm going to pierce kind of next to it, hopefully not right next to it, but see how it's coming up from the back? You can see that there. Maybe you can't because it's dark, but there's my awl, the tip of my awl is right there. So then I can see the hole right through there. So I'm gonna get my big eye needle. The big eye needle is sharp on the ends, so it goes through the leather pretty easily, but the suede needed, or the ultra suede, if I can get it through there, the ultra suede needed just a little bit of help getting the needle through. So using the awl to pierce it doesn't put any stress or strain on anything. I can see the little opening that I made. I send this through. Let me pull it a little closer to me here. And there we go. And it's through. Okay, so here's 2. Now let me do my 3rd one. Let me knot this actually into place first. Knot it once and then go through my square knot. I'm going through 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 times. There we go. And I'm going to cut my extra away. Okay, so there's my 2nd knot. And they're going to cascade out like that. Now let me get my 3rd one. Move the camera a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. Then I'm going to make my little opening right there. String this through. And again, I used a doubled strand of KO to make these tassels. And I can use more tassels if I want to, but I think 3 is kind of a nice number. And I could, Gita, I thought about making the tassel in the middle a little bit longer and the other's a little bit shorter. Let me tie this one off right here. I love a cascading tassel. And like so. There we go. I'm going to cut these away. And we're here with our 3 little cascading dangles out the front, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of like a little waterfall-y kind of feeling to it. I think they're cool. So now, and I could do, maybe I'll do 5. I don't know. I could do that too. Maybe I want them to be a little bit more heavy weight. It just depends on the look that you like. Could I use sharps needles instead of the awl, Drea asks. Yeah, you could, Drea, though I'm going to string up one more tassel just so you guys can see how I did it. I used a long piece of thread, so I'm going to get this, and I'm going to clip it away. Gita, you're asking, is the piece heavy? It's not that heavy. No. And I'm going to put, when I put my pin up here, I'm going to put my pin back up towards the top. And yeah, Carolyn, I agree. I'd like more of my pie to actually show. So next time when I do this, and I talked a little bit about this at the beginning, I would start reducing or decreasing my stitches so that maybe this rim of the little shadows would sit further down here. But, you know, it's just my first one, so I'm not going to sweat it too much. Let me string the sharps needle, and again, since I had so many of these strands to go through the leather, that's why I used the big eye. So let's see, I used 20 of these seed beads. So let me just do that. That's 2, 4, 6. The sharps needle really works nicely with seed beads. I like it a lot. And I'm not tying any knot or anything here on the other side. I'm just going to hang on to the tails to make sure that nothing really falls off the back end. Let's see, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That should be 20 beads, or close enough to 20. Okay. So just like that. Lynn, that's a great question. Lynn, your question is, how would you convert this to a pendant instead of a pin? I'm going to talk about that too before we leave today. So I've got that. I put on a little shadow. Where'd my little shadows go? Here they are. I thought a little shadow would kind of pull that little shadow look from the disc onto the piece. I used a 4mm that matte Persian turquoise copper Picasso, world's longest name, but a really pretty bead. I used that tribal hishi, or not the tribal hishi, it's the tiara hishi. And then I used those stone bronze 5mm. So I did a hishi, 2 of the stone bronze, 1 more hishi, 1 more stone bronze, and that stone bronze really helped anchor that blue currency bead on my thread, then through, and then I made kind of a little picot of sorts, but I did it with 2 of the 11/aughts and 1 of the tribal or the tiara hishi in the middle. Then I just ran it back up through everything, making sure I caught all of the beads through the holes, like so. And then it also gives these tassels a little more body to them, rather than just stringing it on a single thread, having it on a doubled thread, so I've got 4 strands through the tassels. I feel like it adds a little more body to the tassels. So then I'll pull this down and pull everything. And so here it is. Here's my little tassel leg. And I want to make sure that all of the threads are nice and even here. This little hishi wants to sit funny unless you are the boss of it and tell it what to do. There you go. It's ready to go. So now let me see how a 4th cascading piece would look, and I think it looks nice. So let me put it in there. Shall we? And again, that I cut my needle off right here, and I'm just going to pass all of these threads through my big eye needle right here, pierce the back of that leather with my awl, except here's one little thread that doesn't want to go through the big eye, but we're going to tell it who's the boss, right, you guys? And then we'll pass it through. So I'll just give it a little, maybe I'll put it right there. Hopefully I'm not piercing anything. It's kind of dark down in that little hole. I get it in there. There we go. I like the looks of that one. I can see the little hole that I've made, and I aim my big eye needle for that hole. These threads don't want to behave, do they? Let me see if I can get them through there. all the perils of stringing things live. The beads don't want to behave. There we go. And they're all through. And we'll tie one more knot right here in the back. Split the threads once again, square knot, half hitch down, and then I'll go through once, twice, thrice. There we go. Okay. And where are my little clippers? They're sitting here right in front of me. Alrighty. So now I've got 4. And I think that cascading 4 looks pretty cool. 5 might be too much, but I like the looks of 4. So let's address the back, and let's address your issue or your question, Lynn. How would I think about doing this as a pendant? And I thought about it as I was making this, because I thought that it would also make a really good pendant. So remember how, oh, Kim, you're so clever. Put your sharps needle through the big eye before cutting the needle away. Yes, clever, clever girl. I will do that next time. So you remember how Emily did the back? We used another piece of ultra suede and we glued it to the back, and then we clipped it, clip, 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 and then we did a little whip stitch around. I thought about maybe, since I've been using these circles of bronze a lot, I thought about maybe attaching the circle of bronze somehow to the side, maybe like that. Whoops, it's upside down. There we go. Maybe like that and like that, so I could string from there so it was weighted nicely. I also thought about coming in from maybe behind the ultra suede here with my needle, coming up and doing kind of a beaded loop up here. That was kind of, you know, it would be kind of substantial, maybe pass through a couple of times so there were beaded loops. But I would probably, I'd probably do this looping first, so that when I went in and glued my ultra suede back on, I'd hide any little, you know, ends of threads and stuff. It would all be glued in between, sandwiched in between. Okay, so so that's maybe how I would take a look at that. I think, though, I am going to keep this as a pin because I wear a lot of pins and I think they're kind of cool. So you can watch the rest of Wednesday's broadcast to see how to add the pin back. But let me just see if I can get this ultra suede out. Yeah, a pin to the back. Yeah, so we could, the way that we did this, and I'll go over it now so you guys, so it's complete here on this video. What Emily did for her pin back, and I thought it was really clever, was she used the pin this way, and I'm actually going to put it, I think I want it to be like this, so it's facing the right way. She came in and she pressed the ultra suede right into the pin back, and it made these two little shadows that it's kind of hard to see on here. But once those little marks were made on the ultra suede, I could give it a tiny little clip like that, and she could come in. Oh, thanks, Donna. I'm glad you like this piece. You know, my inspiration for this piece, I just kind of started with what we had, you know, what we were demoing on air. And I wanted to make the result be something that I kind of looks like, you know, I don't know, found it in an archaeological dig or something, right? That was kind of my feeling about it. And so see how now that pin back comes through the ultra suede, and I'll come in and I'll glue it all, and then I will trim it. I want to make sure that this is the right size ultra suede, so I'm not going to be doing any gluing on air for this, but I glue it all. I'm going to make sure that I glue all of these little pieces down, and then after it's set and dried, I'm going to come in and clip this away. I'm actually going to come in and probably cut a little further out like this, and maybe stitch those ends closed, and it'll include maybe a little seed bead to make the edge kind of nice and neat. Emily and I talked about that also on Wednesday as well. So that's it. That's all she wrote on this. I think it was kind of a fun piece to do, and we'll see how it finishes up. I'll do a blog post when it's done with the finished photo, and you guys can take a look at how it all finishes. But do, if you haven't watched the Wednesday broadcast, I think you'll really, really love it. Emily shows just some great techniques on bead embroidery in the round. It was really, really fun to work with her on it. So I hoped you liked my adaptation of it. I also brought one more. This is, I think, the next one I'm going to be using. This is our silver leaf pie, and I got one of our Wanderlust pieces, and you can see that Wanderlust shows a lot of the silver leaf underneath there. And if I do this gluing first, I'll be able to see how much of the stone I'll actually be able to leave. So again, if I do something like this again, I would go ahead and maybe glue this section on at the beginning so I end my row exactly where I want it to be. Okay, so let me turn this camera around here, and I hope you guys enjoyed that using the Zap glue. And again, all of the, there we go, I'm bright side up, there we are. All of the products, and Geeta has very helpfully linked everything into the chat here, but you can find everything right on our website at beadshop.com. Let me lower this a little bit, I'm a little top heavy here. There we are. There we go. I'm so serious doing this camera. All right, I'm also a little crooked, but you know what? That's how it is when you're your own camera person, right? But you'll, as I said, you'll be able to find all of the techniques from beadshop.com, and you'll be all set to go. I'd love to see them, so don't forget to email them in, or you, if you're a member of our bead table group, go ahead and post them in there. If you're not a member of the beadshop.com Facebook group called the Bead Table, go over there and answer those little questions and join on in. We'd love to see you over there. We have almost 2,500 members over there that post such beautiful, beautiful things. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. On Wednesday, coming up on Facebook Live, we've got a surprise. It's called Spring Surprise, and it is a cool project. I'm making one, Emily's making one, and we have no idea what either is making, so it's going to be really, really fun. It looks like, I was going to say, who just texted me? I just got a ding, but it wasn't one of you. So I'm all set. So happy Easter to those of you who celebrate. Hope you have a great weekend, and Emily and I will see you next week on Facebook Live. We'll talk to you soon, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.